At 6 a.m. on the morning of the college entrance exam, the class beauty posted in the group chat, "I rented a bus to take everyone to the exam site. Boys get priority boarding." In my last life, I rode that bus, arrived 40 minutes late, and got 0 on the listening section of English. Indiana. This life. I took a ride-hailing car to the exam site entrance at 6:30, then sent the bus my location. It was still dead in the water outside the 3rd Ring Road. Chapter 1. Shu Shao. It's not too late to regret it. Now baby can have the driver wait for you at the intersection for 3 minutes at 6:30 in the morning. I was sitting in a ride-hailing car on the way to the exam site when my phone screen lit up in the class group chat. The class beauty sent a voice message. Her voice was syrupy and sticky, carrying a clear sense of smugness and condescension. A 10-second video then popped up in the group chat. It showed a brand new minibus with colorful balloons hanging inside. Zio Sahan was sitting in the front passenger seat while the camera panned across the back rows. More than 20 boys were squeezed together, flashing excited peace signs at the camera. "Thank you, Goddess Sahan. You've taken over my youth. This is honestly the most comfortable bus I've ever ridden on. The air even tastes sweet." Watching those comments spam the screen like crazy, I felt a wave of nausea turn in my stomach in my previous life. I was on that same bus, too, under the pretense of giving everyone a free ride to the exam venue. Zio Sahan tricked most of our class onto that black market bus. The bus left right on time at 7, but it took an extremely remote bypass around the city. At 7:20, the coach broke down right on schedule. Everyone on board was stranded out in the middle of nowhere and had to wait a full 20 minutes before they managed to hail just a few scattered taxis. By the time I burst into the exam room, drenched in sweat, the English listening section was already over. Those 25 points were wiped out, and I missed out on the top-tier university I had set my sights on. Afterwards, Zio Sahan was in tears, saying she was a victim, too. Not only did the boys not blame her, they lined up to comfort her instead. It was only later that I casually learned the bus driver was actually her own cousin given a second life. I would never again step onto that bus bound for hell. I typed a line into the chat box. "Thanks, Cyan, but my dad's taking me today, so I'll pass." The moment the message was sent, the group fell silent for 2 seconds. Then my childhood friend, Lookin, jumped in. "Such, don't you think you're being a little too out of step with everyone else? Suan got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to arrange rides for everyone, and you can't even say thank you before pouring cold water on it. Who are you trying to impress with all that fake aloofness?" Luchin's words were thick with hostility. Ever since Xiao Sahan transferred into our class, the childhood friend who once swore he'd protect me for life had become her most loyal attack dog. Zio Sahan quickly sent back a voice message, her voice trembling with grievance and tears. "Lookin, don't say that about Su Xiao. Maybe she just doesn't like me. It's fine. Sweetie only feels sorry for you careless boys. The girls can take the seats when there's an opening." The boys in the group instantly blew up and started attacking me. "Such, do you even have any sense of team spirit? Her family's rich, and she's willing to hire a car. What are you jealous of? Serves you right for going to the exam venue alone. Hope you can't get a taxi in a bit." I stared blankly at the vicious curses scrolling across the screen and immediately muted the group chat. I switched out of the interface and opened a private chat group with 3 girls I usually got along well with. "Don't take Sahan's car today. Go to the exam venue on your own. Don TT ask why. Just trust me. Zhang, Mang and Wang." You replied without hesitation. "Got it. I already couldn't stand her boy chasing. Pick me act. My dad's already started the car. See you at the exam hall." Only Lynchie had been silent for quite a while. 5 minutes later, Lynchie sent a voice message. Her voice kept very low. "But such chow. My place is too far from the exam hall. A taxi would cost over 80 yuan. Josahan said, there's free breakfast and Red Bull in the car. And I want to save some money." I frowned and typed quickly. "I'll book you a ride-hailing car. I'll pay for it. Go wait at the intersection right now." On Lynch's side, the typing indicator kept appearing on and off for a long time. And in the end, she sent one sentence. "Forget it. Such chow. You're just jealous that Sahan is so popular. Serves you right to go to the exam hall alone." Chapter 2. Jealous of her. I just hope you all don't end up crying too loudly later. I stared at the message Lynch had sent, let out a cold laugh, and tossed my phone aside. At exactly 7, the ride-hailing car pulled up steadily at the entrance to the test site because it was drizzling. The area outside the exam venue was empty with only a few security guards setting up the cordon. I opened my umbrella and stepped under the eaves nearby to get out of the rain. My phone buzzed again. It was the special notification tone from the class group chat. I had already turned on Do Not Disturb, but our homeroom teacher, Mr. Lee, sent in it all in the group. Students, stay safe. On the way here, bring your admission ticket and gather at the entrance to the test site at 7:30 sharp. Right below Mr. Lee's message was a selfie from Xiaoan. In the photo, she's holding a can of Red Bull with a background of the boys in the bus compartment wolfing down sandwiches. Teacher Lee, don't worry. Baby is taking great care of everyone. We promise we'll arrive at the exam venue right on time. At 7:40, Lookin immediately chimed in to support her. Not only is Cyan beautiful and kind, even the breakfast she bought is this delicious. Unlike some people who only know how to lurk in the shadows, everyone in the class knew exactly who that some people referred to. I couldn't be bothered to deal with it and was just about to leave chat. Suddenly, a message from Lynchie popped up in the group chat. She sent a photo of herself sitting in the very last row of the bus. Thanks for taking me in. Monitor Sahan. The AC on the car is so nice and the sandwiches are delicious. 2. My hand tightened around the umbrella handle. Lynchie not only got into the car, she even posted a photo in the group on purpose to show her loyalty to Zio Sahan. Zio Sahan replied instantly, "Ah, it's great that you could come. Lynchie, I was even worried that Suchia wouldn't let you get on the car." The moment that line was sent, the mood in the group shifted completely. Lookin sent a long voice message, his tone thick with contempt. "Such, what exactly are you up to? Fine if you don't fit in. But why are you secretly stopping other people from riding Sahan's car? Do you only feel happy if everyone ends up being late?" Lynn. She immediately sent a screenshot. It was the chat log from my private group where I'd been telling them not to get into the car. "Everyone, look, Such even messaged me this morning, telling me to absolutely not ride in the class monitor's car. I just couldn't stand her fake-to-your-face, backstabbing behavior anymore. The class monitor paid out of pocket and put in all that effort. What right does she have to sabotage it? Like this." The group completely exploded. More than 20 guys, like cats with their tails stepped on, started attacking me with the most vicious abuse imaginable. "Such, you're disgusting. What's wrong with your head?" As expected, women always make everything a big deal. They can't stand seeing others do better than them. "Suan, ignore her. Someone like her deserves not to get into college." I stared at the flickering characters on the screen, finding it utterly absurd. I kindly tried to help her, but she cut off my hand and offered it up to her master as proof of loyalty. Zhang Mang was sending voice messages in the private chat in a panic. "Such Xiao, is Lynchie out of her mind? Why did she post the chat log in the group chat just to say that I'd won cab fare? Did she even throw her dignity away?" I replied to Zhang Mang calmly, "Respect other people's fate. Let go of your savior complex." At 7:20, Zhang Mang and Wang Yu arrived one after another at the exam venue entrance. They put away their umbrellas and stood beside me, shaking with anger as they read the messages in the group chat. "Are these guys all brains full of mush? Whatever says, they just believe it," Wu said through clenched teeth. I watched the curtain of rain in the distance grow thicker and heavier, my voice completely flat. "No rush. The real show has only just begun." At that moment, our homeroom teacher, Mr. Lee, hurried over with an umbrella. She glanced at the three of us, her brows tightly knit. "Suchia, why is it just the three of you? Where are the others?" I pointed at my phone screen. "Mr. Lee, they're all on Zio Sahan's chartered bus." Mr. Lee's expression immediately darkened, and he pulled out his phone to send a voice message in the group chat. "Zio Han, where are you all now? The rain is getting heavier by the minute. Don't delay getting inside." The group chat fell silent for a full minute soon after. "Lynn," she sent a voice message, her tone carrying a barely perceptible trace of panic. "Teacher Lee, we might have taken the wrong road. The driver said this road was a shortcut, but why are there not even any street lights outside now?" I looked at that voice message, a sneer tugging at the corners of my mouth, and typed out a reply. Such. That's enough. C was kind enough to let me get in the car, and you just have to curse us into trouble. Is that it? Chapter 3. Since you're determined to go looking for trouble, then stay locked in with them. I deleted the words I had originally intended to type in the chat box, and directly pressed the lock screen button. At 7:30, more and more candidates and parents were gathering at the entrance to the exam site. Colorful umbrellas crowded together, looking like a mushroom forest swaying in the wind and rain. Ms. Lee clutched the attendance sheet, anxious as a cat on a hot tin roof. What time is it already? Out of 30 people, only 3 of you have shown up. She called Xiao Sahan again, but all she got was, the number you have dialed is temporarily unavailable. Frustrated, Emma Lee stamped her feet and turned to look at me. Such Chow, you're the class monitor. Since you knew this morning they were taking a chartered bus, why didn't you stop them? How could they casually take some random unlicensed car for something as important as the college entrance exam? I looked at a mess, Lee's worried face, and a chill ran through me. In this class, whenever something goes wrong, the blame always lands on me. I stated the facts in a flat tone. Miss Lee, I'm not the class monitor. Xiao Sahan is, and I already tried to talk Lyncher down this morning. You saw the chat log in the group. 2. They think I'm just jealous of Xiao Sahan. What am I supposed to do? Stop them. I'd already shut Teacher Lee up, so all he could do was keep frantically at mentioning Xiao Sahan in the group. At 7:35, the group finally stirred. Xiao Sahan sent a voice message with nothing in the background but rain pounding against the car windows and the boys' noisy chatter. Don't worry, Teacher Lee. The driver said the main road up ahead is jammed, so we're taking the side road off the Ring Expressway now. There usually aren't many cars out here. The driver promises we'll definitely be there before 7:50. Lookin chimed in right after. Exactly, Teacher Lee. The driver's an old hand. He's really good behind the wheel. We're in the car listening to music and eating breakfast. Not worried at all. Not like some people getting soaked in the rain and freezing outside the exam hall. And at a time like this, he still couldn't resist taking a swipe at me. Jiang Mang leaned over to take a look at the screen and rolled her eyes so hard. The Ring Road Service Road. The test center is clearly downtown. Why are they heading out toward the suburbs? I opened the group chat and sent a message from where you are now to the test center. It'll take 40 minutes, even if there's no traffic. Are you sure you can get there by 7:50? That line was like a rock thrown into a cesspit. The group chat exploded at once. Such, are you sick or something? Can't stand to see us do well. Is that it? The driver said this route is the fastest. What do you know when you can't even drive? Son, just ignore her. She's only trying to mess with everyone's head and throw us off our game. Liney also jumped in and sent a long string of messages. Such Chow, I know you're mad because I posted the chat log, but you can't joke around with everyone's college entrance exam like that. The atmosphere in the carriage is great right now. Why do you have to say such discouraging things? What exactly are you up to looking at Lynch's righteous-looking face? I didn't even have the energy to be angry anymore. Teacher Lee watched the arguing in the group chat and completely lost her patience. She turned her attention on me. Such Chow, can you just say a little less? The most important thing right now is getting them there safely. What's the point of stirring things up here as a classmate? Instead of helping figure out a solution, you're standing there making snide remarks. Do you have any decency? I was so exasperated by Teacher Lee's logic that I actually laughed. Teacher, I'm just stating a basic geographical fact. They're at least 20 kilometers away from the exam site right now. What are they supposed to fly here? Teacher Lee's eyes went wide and he pointed at me. Don't talk back to me if they bomb the exam today because they're mentally falling apart. Can you take responsibility for that? I looked at Teacher Lee's blatantly biased expression, took a step back, and put some distance between us. The person who arranged the bus is responsible, not me. At that moment, a location sharing link suddenly popped up in the group chat. One of the guys on the bus had accidentally tapped it. I clicked the link, and the little red dot on the map was sitting on an abandoned industrial road outside the Third Ring Road. There wasn't a single shortcut to the city center. From there, I held up the screen in front of Teacher Lee. Teacher Lee, take a look for yourself. After Teacher Lee saw the location clearly, his face went deathly pale, and even the attendance sheet in his hand slipped into a puddle. In the group chat, the boy who had posted the location suddenly sent a voice message. His voice was full of barely contained panic. "Sir, you took a wrong turn. Didn't you? Why does this road end in a dead end up ahead?" Right after that, a loud bang came through the group chat. "Such, are you sick or something? Can TT stand seeing us do well?" The driver said, "This route is the fastest." Chapter 4. All right, then. I wish you a smooth trip. Just don't break down halfway. I put my phone away, looked at the last message on the screen, and said those words coldly. 7:40 a.m. There were still 20 minutes left before the exam hall gates closed. After that deafening boom in the group chat, a deathly silence hung in the air for a full 30 seconds. Then, messages started pouring in like a blizzard. "What the hell? What's going on? Why did the bus stop? Driver, why did you slam on the brakes? I spilled my soy milk all over my admission ticket. There's no road ahead. It's a dead end." The voice message was filled with boys shouting and the sound of rain, making it sound extremely chaotic. Teacher Lee picked up the attendance sheet from the ground, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold her phone. She immediately called Xiao Sahan on a voice call. "Xiao Sahan, what on earth is going on? Why has the bus stopped?" On the other end of the line, Zio Sahan's voice finally broke into sobs. "Teacher Lee, I don't know either. The driver said the engine seems to have taken in water. The bus is stalled now and it won't start." Teacher Lee's vision went black and she nearly passed out. Jean Ming quickly reached out to steady her, but Teacher Lee shoved Jean Ming away with one hand and clutched my arm tightly. "Such didn't your dad drive you here? Call your dad right now. Tell him to drive over and pick them up. Take as many as he can. Hurry." She was gripping me so hard it hurt. I wrenched my hand free. "EMS Lee, my dad has already gone to work, and his car can only fit 4 people. There are 27 people over there. How is my dad supposed to pick them all up?" Miss Lee was so panicked her words came out all over the place. "Then you pay for it. Order 10 ride-hailing cars there right now. You get so much pocket money anyway. Why not front the money first? Zia Sahan can pay you back later." I looked at this homeroom teacher in front of me who had completely lost her mind just to dodge responsibility and found it utterly ridiculous. "Teacher, that road is in an abandoned industrial zone. No ride-hailing driver would go there. And why should I be the one to pay?" Teacher Lee pointed at me, his finger trembling. You're heartless, selfish. They're your classmates." In the group chat, Lu Chin was still trying to keep things under control. "Everyone, calm down. Suan has already asked the mechanic to take a look. The mechanic said, it's just a minor issue, and it'll be fixed in 5 minutes. Trust Sahan. She would never do anything to harm us." Lynch. She also sent a voice message, her voice trembling badly. "Why? The class rep definitely has a solution. Well, just wait on the bus." I watched the time tick by, minute after minute. 7:45 p.m. The loudspeaker at the test center has already started broadcasting the instructions for candidates entering the venue. On the bus, Zio Sahan was sitting in the front passenger seat, watching the rain outside pour harder and harder, and the engine refused to start, and she panicked completely. In her past life, the script she and her cousin had agreed on was this. The bus would break down on the outskirts of a city. She would use going to the restroom as an excuse to get off, and then her cousin would help hail a taxi that had already been arranged for her so she could leave first, leaving the rest of the bus load behind to wait for rescue. But now, because the rain was so heavy, her cousin, trying to avoid the traffic police, had driven into a dead-end alley in a panic. There wasn't a taxi she had arranged for here at all. Xiao Sahan stood up, gave her cousin a look, and lowered her voice. "Cousin, hurry up and open the door. I need to get off." Her cousin was drenched in sweat as he kept pressing the buttons on the control panel, his face even paler than paper. "Sahan, the door won't open." Xiao Sahan froze, her voice suddenly rising. "What do you mean? What do you mean it won't open?" Her cousin was so anxious he kept pounding the steering wheel. "I slammed on the brakes just now, and it looks like the circuit board burned out. The doors locked shut." Zio Sahan's face went deathly pale in an instant. She rushed to the door and banged hard on the glass. All her prim and polished composure gone. Open the door. Unlock it. I have to take the exam. The boys in the bus had been waiting for the miracle of the door being fixed in 5 minutes. Hearing scream, everyone froze. Lucan squeezed to the front and stared dumbfounded at Zio Sahan, who was pounding frantically on the door. Sahan, what's wrong? Didn't the mechanic say it would be fixed soon? Zio Sahan had no time to pay him any attention. She turned around, grabbed her cousin by the collar, and tears streamed down her face. Smiling him, Agop. Think of something now. My dad gave you 2,000 yuan to put on a show, not to trap me in here and kill me. 2. As soon as those words came out, the whole carriage fell into a dead silence. Sir, how am I supposed to stop them? They already said it. Guys first. Women don't get to come near it. Chapter 5. Such. Did you already know this train had a problem? At 7:50, Lucan let out a heartbreaking roar in the group chat. Following that roar, questions exploded in the group chat like boiling water. Xiao Sahan, what did you just say about acting? What 2,000 bucks? Who exactly is this driver? Get your story straight. Why won't the door open? Did you deliberately trap us in here? One voice message after another came in mixed with the boys' furious shouting. Lynch screams and the dull thud of glass being smashed outside the exam hall. Teacher Lee listened to those voice messages. Her legs went weak and she collapsed straight into a puddle. It's over. Everything's over. She muttered, her face drained of color. I stood under the eaves, coldly watching the chaos in the group chat, my fingers flying across the screen. Luke Hen, if your brain's gone to water, go get it drained. The car was chartered by Jiao Sahan. The route was chosen by the driver. And you couldn't break the door. Open yourselves, which I saw me as having anything to do with this car. Lucan was rambling incoherently in the group chat. Then why didn't you take the seat this morning? Why did you tell Lin she not to sit there? You definitely know something. You were deliberately making a fool of us. I was so angry at his shamelessness that I almost laughed. I made it very clear this morning. I didn't sit because I found it disgusting. I told Lin she not to sit because I have a brain. As for you, since you've handed your lives over to your goddess, Cyan, then go ahead and enjoy the grave she's prepared for you. Inside the bus, the atmosphere had already dropped to freezing point. Several tall boys surrounded Ziohen and the driver. The class sports rep, who usually loved sticking close to Jiaoan, grabbed the driver by the collar and slammed him hard against the bus window. Who the hell are you? Talk! The driver was being choked so hard his eyes rolled back, and he looked tremblingly at Xiaoan. Zio Sahan was cowering in the front passenger seat, clutching her head and screaming. Don't hit him. He's my cousin. Your cousin. Everyone on the bus inhaled sharply. Linchi rushed up from the back row and yanked hair. Her voice, so shrivel, had gone out of tune. Zio Sahan, have you lost your mind? You had your cousin drive us to the college entrance exam in an unlicensed cab. Didn't you say this was a standard tour bus? Sahan's scalp burned as she was dragged, and she cried while trying to pry Lynch's hand away. I didn't mean to. I just wanted everyone to think I was amazing. To make all the boys grateful to me. My cousin said he knew how to drive a bus, so I had him rent one. I originally planned to pretend the bus broke down halfway, then take a taxi myself and make you all late for a bit. I didn't expect the door to break. I'm stuck in here. 2. Her emotional breakdown and confession detonated like a nuclear bomb, blowing up completely inside the bus. Standing at the edge of the crowd, Lucan looked at the girl he had adored like a goddess for a whole year, his expression shifting from shock to utter unfamiliarity and fear. Why you want us to be late? Luchan's voice was shaking badly. Why? Tears streamed down Zio Sahan's face, her makeup smeared into a mess, making her look like a ridiculous clown. Because Suchia's grades are better than mine because you keep comparing me to her. As long as all of you are late and bomb the English listening test, I'll be guaranteed first place in the class. I just wanted to prove I was better than her. Absurd. Utterly absurd. Out of jealousy over my grades, she was willing to drag 27 classmates down with her. Even the simps who showered her with concern every day were, in her eyes, nothing more than disposable tools. The guys in the carriage had completely lost it. You. The class sports rep punched Jahan's cousin in the face, and blood instantly gushed from his nose. Break the window. Smash it open now. If we don't get out, it'll really be too late. Someone grabbed the emergency hammer on the train and smashed it desperately against the thick-tempered glass. But that old second-hand bus was so worn out that the safety hammer had already rusted solid, even after a few hard swings. It didn't leave so much as a crack. 800 sharp. The exam venue gates officially opened, and the security guard picked up a megaphone and began announcing loudly, "Candidates, please have your admission ticket and ID ready, and line up in an orderly manner to enter. Anyone arriving more than 15 minutes late will not be allowed to enter the test." Sight! I put my phone away and held my admission ticket and ID in my hands. Jean Meng. And when you glanced at me and took a deep breath, "Let's go." Such chow. I nodded and turned toward the security checkpoint behind me. Teacher Lee suddenly rushed over and wrapped his arms tightly around my legs. "Yai! Don't go. Help me think of a way out. 30 people. If they all miss the exam, my teaching career will be completely ruined. Aren't you the one with a plan? You must have a way, right?" I looked down at this homeroom teacher who had once mocked me and shown extreme favoritism toward Xiaoan. "Cousin, open the door. You said you'd let me off at the intersection. Why did you lock the door?" Chapter 6. Sahan. What did you just call him? Cousin. By the time Luchin's voice message popped up in the group chat, I had already reached the security checkpoint. I ignored Teacher Lee, who was clinging to my leg, and forcefully pulled my leg free. "Teacher Lee, what you should be doing right now is calling the police, not begging me here. I'm just a candidate. My job is to take the exam without looking back." I walked through the gates of the exam hall. The security guard kept Teacher Lee outside the cordon, and her desperate cries were slowly swallowed by the rain. At 8:10, I found my exam room and sat down in my seat, with 20 minutes left before the exam. The room was already full. I arranged my stationery, pulled up my phone one last time, and opened the class group chat. The group chat had turned into a total battlefield. Someone was streaming live video. In the video, the inside of the bus was a complete mess. Zio Sahan's cousin was beaten until his face was covered in blood, curled up under the driver's seat. The boys went crazy, kicking the windows and smashing them with fire extinguishers. Bang, bang, bang. The dull thuds echoed through the cramped bus, mixed with Lynch's pig slaughter like wails. "Xiao Sahan, pay me back my college entrance exam." Yulin. She was straddling Xiao Sahan, slapping her wildly. Zio Sahan's expensive white dress had been torn to shreds, and her hair was a complete mess, like a bird's nest. She didn't even have the strength to fight back and could only clutch her head and howl in pain. Lucan stood to the side, holding a smashed safety hammer, staring blankly at everything. The former goddess and the former brother were now tearing at each other like a pack of wild dogs in a muddy pit. At last came the crisp sound of shattering glass. A huge hole was smashed into one of the bus windows by a fire extinguisher. Cold wind mixed with rain poured straight into the bus in an instant. "It's open! It's open! Hurry! Jump out the window!" The boys, as if clinging to a life-saving straw, crowded frantically toward the tiny opening. The first one to squeeze through was the class sports rep, just as half his body had leaned out of the window. He suddenly let out a terrified scream. There's a ditch outside because his cousin had fled in panic. The coach had stopped beside an abandoned drainage ditch. Jumping down would mean landing in filthy water up to your waist. But at this point, there was no time to worry about that jump. If you don't, you'll die anyway. The boys jumped out the window, one after another, into the filthy ditch, splashing up black mud. In the last few seconds of the video, my cousin took advantage of the chaos, climbed out through the window on the other side of the driver's seat, and fled into the rain, scrambling and tumbling all the way. "Cousin, don't leave me behind." Xiao Sahan leaned out the window, reaching out in desperation. But all she grasped was a handful of cold rain. The video ended there. Abruptly, I stared at the black screen, utterly unmoved. In my previous life, they sat in the dry, comfortable car, watching me cry my heart out after being barred from the exam hall for arriving late. Lucan even posted in the group chat, "Such chow, just as terrible mental resilience. She can't even get a ride. search her right for failing the exam. This time it was their turn to struggle in the stinking ditch. At 8:20, the proctor walked into the exam room with the sealed test papers. All candidates, turn off your phones and hand in all electronic devices. Just before I hit the power off button, a private message from Lynchie popped up in the group chat. Suchia, Such Chow, where are you? Please help me. I don't want to jump over that filthy ditch. My clothes will get dirty. Don't you know? A ride-hailing driver. Can you have him come pick me up? I'll pay 200. Number 500. Looking at those few lines on the screen, I couldn't help but laugh. Even at a time like this, she was still worried about whether her clothes would get dirty. I replied to the last message. Take your time smashing things. I'm heading into the exam room first. After all, the listening section won't wait for anyone. Chapter 7. Such don't leave. Help us call the police. Please. I'm begging you. Bye. The time Lynch's last message popped up. I had already held down the power button and watched the screen go completely dark. I handed my phone into the storage pouch at the front of the classroom, then turned and went back to my seat. The exam room was so quiet that all I could hear was the hum of the fan overhead and the patter of rain outside. I took a deep breath, picked up my pen, and wrote my name on the scratch paper. At 8:30, the first warning bell rang. The invigilators began handing out the answer sheets calmly. I checked the barcode and filled in my exam number. Meanwhile, over by the bus, a wilderness survival drama was unfolding. The following information was pieced together afterward from the police report and my classmates' accounts. More than 20 boys who jumped into the stinking ditch were covered head to toe in black sludge and all kinds of unknown trash. The rain was coming down so hard that they could barely keep their eyes open. It was a full 3 kilometers from that abandoned industrial road to the main thoroughfare. No umbrellas, no cars, just a stretch of barren weeds and a muddy dirt road. Lucan ran in the middle of the group. Stumbling along with each step, he was clutching the waterproof pouch holding his exam admission ticket. The only hope he had left. Hurry up! Keep running! We've still got 8 kilometers to go. The class rep shouted from the front. But for a group of high school students who had just been through extreme panic and then rolled through a stinking ditch, 8 kilometers might as well have been an impassable chasm. Even worse, they still had to run against the wind through the mud. On the bus, only Jeo Sahan, Lynchie, and a few other girls who were terrified stiff remained. Her cousin had run off. The door wouldn't open, and the boys all jumped up the windows to escape. Lynchie stared at the pitch-black sewage ditch outside the window and cried herself. Horse, I'm not jumping. I'd rather die than jump. Zio Sahan slumped, in the aisle covered with broken glass, staring blankly ahead, the college entrance exam she had carefully prepared for, and the perfect plan she had used to ruin me, ultimately became the grave that buried her own future. What do I do? What am I supposed to do? Zio Sahan muttered to herself. Suddenly, Lynchie went crazy. She rushed over, picked up the fire extinguisher from the floor, and smashed it hard against Zio Sahan's leg. It's all your fault. You menace. Go to hell. Shah Sahan let out a blood-curdling scream and rolled around on the floor. Clutching her leg, the carriage once again dissolved into a chaotic brawl. 8:45 a.m. inside the exam hall. A clear female voice came over the loudspeaker. The English listening test will now begin. I put on my headphones and adjusted the volume. Section A, listen to the short conversations. Fluent English sounded in my ears, and my pen steadily settled onto the answer sheet. In my previous life, when this recording played, I was still blocked outside the exam hall, staring at the security guard's cold face and crying my heart out. I will never forget that suffocating despair. And now I sat in the bright, quiet classroom, filling each correct answer into its proper blank. The rain outside seemed to have eased a little. I looked up and glanced at the wall clock, 9 o'clock sharp. The listening test was already halfway through, and those racing through the mud were still struggling in despair. Luchin's so were already worn through and gravel had torn bloody cuts across the bottoms of his feet. He was gasping for breath, his lungs burning as if with fire. In the distance, he finally saw the red banner hanging over the gate of the test center. We're here. We're finally here. He squeezed out the last ounce of strength in his body and sprinted forward. Run. No matter what. We have to get into the exam hall before 9. Chapter 8. Sorry. No one may enter while the listening test is being played. At 9:05 outside the exam center gate, Lookin' and a dozen other boys, looking like a pack of drowned ghosts crawling out of a swamp, stumbled and rolled their way up to the cordon. They reeked of a nauseating stench, their school uniforms reduced to tatters, and it was impossible to tell whether the streaks on their faces were rain or tears. The security guard was startled by the sight and instinctively took a step back. But the moment Lookin' tried to shove the iron gate open in Russian, the guard immediately blocked it with a riot fork. Stop right there. What do you think you're doing? Luchin's legs gave out, and he dropped straight to his knees in the puddled water. He held up the mud-smeared, waterproof bag high above his head, his voice like sandpaper scraping against wood. Sir, we're exam candidates. Please let us in. The class monitor also sank to his knees, a burly man over 6 feet tall. He was crying like a child. Please, we were in a car accident on the way here. We really weren't late on purpose. Teacher Lee rushed out from the gatehouse, and the moment she saw how miserable the students looked, she broke down, covering her face and crying uncontrollably. My students, how did they end up like this? She dashed up to the security guard and clutched his arm tightly. Come on, sir. Please cut them some slack. They ran into a black car. They were already risking their lives just to make it here. Please let them go in and take the exam. The security guard looked visibly reluctant, but he still shook his head firmly. Teacher Lee, it's not that I'm unwilling to make an exception. This is a national regulation. During the listening test playback, to avoid affecting other candidates, absolutely no one is allowed into the exam area. You'll have to wait until 9:20 when the listening test is over before you can go in. Hearing this, Lookin' collapsed to the ground like a puddle of mud. 9:20. That meant they wouldn't get a single point from the 30-point English listening section in the fiercely competitive college entrance exam. Losing 30 points was basically a death sentence. A first-tier university becomes a second-tier one. A second-tier one becomes a vocational college, and a vocational college becomes no offer at all. Lookin' suddenly threw his head back and let out a desperate beast-like howl. He hammered the puddled water with both fists, splashing muddy water all over Teacher Lee's face. Zio-sahan, I'll kill you. I'm going to kill you. The other boys broke down too. Some collapsed on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably, while others slammed their heads against the iron gate. The scene outside the exam venue was so horrific, it was hard to look at. At 9:20, the listening test ended right on time. The exam hall doors slowly opened. The security guard sighed and stepped aside to make way. Go in. Don't hold up the written exam any longer. Like walking corpses, the boys dragged their heavy feet into the exam hall. Their composure had completely collapsed. Even sitting in the exam hall, all they could think about was the broken-down bus and the 30 points they had lost. 9:25 a.m. a police car screeched to a stop at the entrance to the test site. The door swung open, and 2 police officers escorted Zio-sahan and Lin-chi out. It turned out that a passing villager had seen people fighting on the bus and called the police. Zio-sahan's leg had been injured when Lin-chi hit her with a fire extinguisher, and she was limping as she walked. Her dress was torn to shreds, and her face was covered in scratches and bruises. Seeing the exam hall doors wide open, Zio-sahan tried like a madwoman to break free from the police and rush inside. Let me go. I need to take the exam. I'm not late yet. The police held her shoulders in a vice-like grip. Calm down. You're now suspected of causing a disturbance and disrupting the exam order. You need to come with us to the station for an investigation. Zio-sahan struggled desperately, shouting toward the security booth. Why won't you let me in? My dad already paid. Do you know who I am? Chapter 9. Who you are doesn't matter. What matters is that you're suspected of interfering with the national level exam. Come with us. The officer's cold voice cut off Zio-sahan's tantrum. With a sharp click, a pair of icy handcuffs snapped around her mud-stained wrists. Zio-sahan froze, looking at the silver medal on her wrist. She finally realized how serious the situation was, and her legs gave way as she collapsed to the ground. At 11:30, the bell for turning in papers rang on time. I put down my pen and let out a long sigh of relief. This English exam was a breeze for me, especially the listening section. It was so clear I didn't miss a single connected pronunciation. I packed up my stationery and headed out of the exam hall with the crowd the moment I reached the gate of the test center. I was stunned by the scene before me. The entrance was already completely packed solid. Dozens of angry parents, umbrellas in hand, had surrounded the police. Car teacher Elise stood in the middle, her hair disheveled, bowing one apology after another to the parents. "I'm sorry I failed to do my job. I'm sorry." A slightly plump auntie rushed forward, grabbed Teacher Lee by the collar, and spat in her face. "You think an apology makes this go away? My son studied until 2 a.m. every night just to get into a top university. And now you're telling me he got a 0 on listening because he took the class monitor's unlicensed cab. What kind of homeroom teacher are you? Anyway," just then Lookin and the group of boys also came out of the exam hall. They had changed into some old clothes lent to them by the elderly security guard at the gatehouse. But the foul smell clinging to them was still overwhelming. Seeing Lookin looking so lost and dejected, his mother was so heartbroken that she fainted on the spot and chaos erupted again. The police car door swung open and an old police officer stepped out holding a loudspeaker. "Everyone, please stay calm. I'm the chief of the local police station regarding the bus breakdown this morning. We have already uncovered the truth preliminarily." The entire scene fell silent in an instant with everyone's eyes fixed on the old police officer. The old police officer pulled out a statement record and spoke in a loud, clear voice. "After investigation, it has been confirmed that the bus driver Liu is the cousin of the student Xiao Sahan in this class. Liu did not have the required operating license to drive the bus, and the vehicle was a used one that was about to be scrapped. According to Liu's statement, Xiao Sahan gave him 2,000 yuan in cash last night and told him to deliberately take a detour along the abandoned industrial road this morning and stage a breakdown. The goal was to make the other students on the bus late, thereby affecting their exam results as soon as those words were spoken. A deafening gasp of shock rippled through the crowd. What? Deliberate sabotage? That woman is downright vicious. The parents completely lost it. Several hot-tempered fathers charged straight at the police car, determined to drive Xiao Sahan out and beat her to death. "Hand over that little beast. I'm going to kill her." The police did everything they could to keep order. Sitting in the police car, Xiao Sahan looked up through the window at the faces outside that looked ready to tear her apart, trembling all over with fear. Suddenly, she rolled the window down a crack and cried out to the people outside. "I didn't do anything. I just wanted to play a joke. I never meant for this to blow up like this. I'm trapped in the car. Too. I'm a victim. Too." Lookin stood at the very front of the crowd. When he heard that, he suddenly let out a laugh. The laugh sounded worse than crying, steeped in endless sorrow and self-mockery. He walked up to the police car and stared at Xiao Sahan through the glass. "A joke? You used the future of more than 20 of us as a joke? Xiao Suan, you ruined my whole life. I'll never forgive you, even if I become a ghost." Chapter 10. Then go keep her company in hell and suffer there slowly. I stood on the steps not far away, looking at the twisted look on Luchin's face, and silently said to myself, a month later, the college entrance exam results were released. I scored an impressive 698 points, ranking firmly in the top 3 in the city, and my English score was a standout 145. The night I checked my score, my mom and dad were so thrilled they hugged, laughed, and cried all at once and called my grandparents back in our hometown that very night to share the good news. As for the rest of Class 2 and senior year, that summer was a downright winter. Those 24 or so boys on the bus all flunked out because they got 0 on the English listening test. And once their mental state completely collapsed, they performed badly on the later subjects. 2. Even Lookin, who normally had grades good enough to get him into a top university, only scored just under 400 points, not even enough for a decent junior college. As for Lin Chi, although she didn't miss the listening test, she got injured while fighting Xiao Sahan on the bus and then stood in the rain by a filthy ditch for a long time. By that afternoon, she had developed a high fever. In the end, she only managed a pitiful little over 200 points. The day after the results came out, Lin, she blocked me downstairs at my apartment building. She had lost a lot of weight, kept darting her eyes around nervously, and clutched my sleeve as she begged for tears. Such cow. Can you lend me some money so I can retake the exam? My parents know I only scored this little, and they're going to marry me off to some old bachelor in the village for the bride price. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have posted the chat log in the group chat. Please forgive me. Okay. I yanked my hand back coldly and looked at the scheming expression on her face. Lynch, you don't know you were wrong. You just know you're finished. The moment you sold me out for odd one in cab fare. You should have known this day would come. I turned and walked into the apartment building. And no matter how she wailed behind me, I never looked back. Later, I heard from Jiang Mang about Zio Sahan's fate because she was suspected of deliberately sabotaging a national-level exam and causing extremely severe social repercussions. Xiao Sahan was placed under criminal investigation to get the forgiveness letters from those 2 dozen families. Her parents sold the house and car and ended up going broke while paying a huge sum in compensation. Even so, Zio Sahan still could not escape the judgment of the law. She was sentenced to prison and would never again be able to take the college entrance exam, let alone live the dazzling life she once imagined. As for that once arrogant homeroom teacher, Mr. Lee, he was also fired by the school and had his teaching license revoked for gross negligence. As for Lookin, rumor had it that his family spent a fortune enrolling him in a repeat prep class. But the shock hit him so hard that he developed some mental problems every day in class. As soon as he heard the horn of a coach bus, he would scream and cower under his desk in fright. The once proud and high-spirited boy had become a complete joke. In mid-August, I received my admission letter from a top university. Its red cover and gold-embossed school emblem shimmered brilliantly in the sunlight. I pulled out my phone, snapped a photo of the admission letter, and posted it to my moments along with the photo I had taken that morning on exam day of the deserted street outside the test center. The caption was simple: "The early bird gets the worm. As for those who try to cut corners, all they'll get is a prison meal." Less than a minute after I posted it, Jiang Mang and Wingle liked and commented right away. "Thank you, Sister Chow, for saving my life. Fist salute." Follow Sister Chow and Tsinghua and Peking University are both within reach. Celebration. Looking at the comments on my screen, a genuine smile finally curved at the corners of my mouth. Outside, the sunlight was just right and the breeze was gentle. I locked my phone and slipped it into my pocket. My brilliant life had only just begun.